Ayala, Burmaster, Bitar, Carcone, Beatrice, Williamson, Calismo, Testa, Lemetico, all present.
Irvin's up there too.
And Irvin. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I was about to say something. I was like, am I?
Yeah. We're going to discuss Resolution 1, City Clerk. Any discussion on appointment?
I'd like to nominate our city clerk, our current city clerk.
I'll second that.
Resolution 2, President Pro Temp.
I'd like to nominate Joe Peter. I'll second it.
Resolution 3, the official newspaper.
I'd like to nominate the Daily Sentinel.
Second.
As far as that goes, are they up to, I'm fine with that, but I know we've had a problem with publications, and do they have the correct amount? Maybe the judge or the Corporation Council can answer. Do they have the population needed to be the main paper?
In answer to that question, there is no answer to that question because that is a legal issue. As you know, prior to at the end of our the past council, we received a letter from the Observer Dispatch who knew that there was a resolution in the committee designating Rome Sentinel as the paper, and that they said that they were the only daily newspaper and that the Rome Sentinel did not qualify. That letter was circulated. I had it. It was from some official of the Observer Dispatch. And Charlie Brown and I said, you know, our charter provides that the paper must be a daily paper, which is a term. You ask Charlie, what does it mean? He says, I don't know what it means. I think there's one thing you can have two papers, but the problem with that is if you choose a paper or papers, when you advertise one, you have to advertise in two, and if you do that, you have to pay for the same advertisement twice. So as far as my memory is, and as long as I can remember, the Observer Dispatch, which was without any question then a daily paper, whatever that means. I did report to the council in the last time when that came up that I know someone who is very well versed in newspapers, and at that time that person told me unofficially that he thought that the OD was a daily paper, and something about the Rome Sentinel and the way they mailed out. It wasn't. Now, the OD does exactly what the Sentinel does. They mail you a paper, at least. Right. I get a paper through the mail. I don't see really any difference between the two. I think that this council, I don't advise them as to who to pick, but I think they ought to pick one paper.
Right.
And that'll be the official paper. And I just don't see now that they're both mailing the paper. They don't necessarily come every single day on the day designated. I think one of them, all the Sunday stuff comes in the Saturday paper. I think that it's just a matter of which of the two you choose.
Okay.
You can choose two. The statute provides that.
should just
But
choose
again, Charlie and I both agree. If you choose two, you have to advertise in two.
Okay.
I'm all, Judge, I'm all in favor. It doesn't matter what everybody else. I think we should go with the Sentinel, but I just wanted to make sure that it's okay to do that.
Well, I'm telling you that neither one of us are giving you a legal opinion because that may become a subject for a a legal decision. Now, I'm not going to speak again for my colleague, Mr. Giorgio. I'm sure that have you discussed this with Charlie at all, Stephanie?
I have. He
And
echoes.
what's his position now?
I haven't discussed it with him recently, but he echoes your commentary that there should be only one based on the fees.
Well, we agreed on that. Charlie was here, was it yesterday? Was Charlie here? I think he was here yesterday. And I asked him specifically, we agreed it has to be one. It has to be one. He said, yeah, if you pick two, you got to publish it too.
So,
That thing, that
They-
particular section, we both agree on. And I
Is-
think.
are my
that's the way it is.
colleagues, are you
So
guys all in
it's up to
favor
you
of
to
that?
decide
Is
who you want to
everybody
be
in
the
favor of
paper.
the Sentinel?
Yeah. I'd like to echo the Sentinels here every week, every meeting. They beat the OD in almost every metric right now. They're actually present.
Did you ask me that question?
If it's legal, I mean, I'd rather go with the Rome Sentinel, but I don't know, is it legal? to
It
go
is.
with
Well,
He
them?
just
there's
told
nothing
you that.
illegal about it. It's just the two papers
Right.
might wish to fight it out, and that would mean that one of them might bring an action, like an Article 78, to establish that they meet the county charter, the city charter, and there's a section we've always quoted that says that the daily paper shall be, that the official newspaper shall be a daily. That's what it says in our charter. And the OD, obviously, all through the years has qualified. It was the OD paper. Now, we have a competitor. And I don't know anything about the circulation of both of them anymore, because there were some questions about what your circulation was.
That's what my
and all
question
that.
was.
All right, let's move on.
So-
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they, in fact, the Rome Sentinel did send us some literature, so they
So
may
we-
have, if you pick
Yeah.
the Rome Sentinel.
So in your legal advice, it doesn't matter at this time?
At this point,
Okay.
I'm saying to you, you might have an action by either one of them, but I can't say that, I'm not an expert on daily, that's a matter of proof.
Okay.
That sounds
But
good.
I know one thing, I get both of them in the mail now. That didn't occur when we were
That's legal.
talking about this with the lady from the OD. At that time, the OD was being delivered to the house.
Yeah.
It does not get delivered to the house anymore.
Yeah.
They
So-
have taken that away, and you get your paper the same way you get the Rome Sentinel. You get it through the mail. I don't
You
see
gotta
any
pay
difference
now.
between the two. That's my personal opinion. And I
We're gonna
think
go to
that's-
resolution 4
Yeah.
Okay.
on council attorney.
I nominate Judge Garamone.
I'll second it.
Resolution 5, majority and minority leaders.
So I'll nominate Mark Williamson for minority leader.
And I'll nominate Mr. Burmaster for a majority.
Resolution 6, new rules of order.
You want to speak to this, Sam? So I'll speak a little bit about this. And got a couple new colleagues on the board here. So this is my 5th year being on the council. I never really understood the way of the old system with committees. I always voted for committees because that's the way they were when I started, and we were always outnumbered. A few of my colleagues, my friends sitting next to me more than anybody, we've sat here and been blindsided over the last 4 years, well, Venice the last year and a half, by last-minute legislation, no meetings, and granted, you can have a meeting at any time, but I really think that we should go back to the system that they've used at every other place, the county, most state bodies use, and that is the committee system. We all use the word transparent, which the last 4 years has been the biggest phony term I've ever heard on this council. And that's the way to be transparent, is have meetings, talk about stuff, and have your department heads here so we can understand what we're voting on. That's my feeling on it, and I will be voting to go back to the committee system. So.
You know, if you think about it over the few years, you know, we had a lot of legislation come down. Like you said, like Joe said, we had no idea what was going on to the last minute. I mean, look at the streets thing on Genesee Street.
Look at the island.
You know, the island. Island wasn't even approved by legislation over in South Utica. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens, and I just think that the committee system back then, I've been here for 10 years, it kind of gives, you know, we can think about it, talk with the other 4 members or 5 members of the committee and decide what's right and what's wrong. But this is, and it kind of protects the other side, you know, the Democratic side, you know, because we have a Republican mayor now. So if he ever sends anything down after, you know, a year or whatever, months, that we throw it in the committee. So anything that comes down from the administration should always go in committee, not be voted on the day of, because what happens is, you know, the Democrats have 5 votes, we have 4. Well, they're always going to get what they want. You know what I mean? So if Mike brings something down, the new mayor brings something down, it could be voted down. That's why it should be going to committee prior to having our big meeting. You know, we should have that caucus. You know, it's just, it was sad the last couple of years. Very sad how things went transpired.
Judge? Mr. President, can I have the floor for a second?
Yes.
May I ask you, Mr. President, do you have, since you will be running the meetings and everything, do you have a preference on what system you would like? I know you were a councilman in the past, and you worked the committee system. I know you're probably not too familiar with this other system. Is there a system that you would be in favor of us running?
I just know from the past, my 8 years on the council, I liked the committee system. You know, it gave each council member an opportunity to kind of, you know, use their specialty. Like if you're, you know, you like public safety, parks and recreation. I don't know the committee system that you have right now where you just have one whole committee. I always like the individual committees where you can have open discussion, you can have the department heads there, you can ask questions instead, and like you know, I don't know the last 8 years where, you know, they're passing legislation. 4 years. So,
Okay.
all I know is
So
the
you'd
old
be-
system, which I
okay.
liked.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll go to.
May I have the floor and speak on it? We can even go, but I think I hear the parts, when I hear a lot about people felt blindsided by legislation, I don't think it's necessarily the component of the committee structure. When you have committee of the whole, it's still very much a committee, and I feel like people think it's not. Even though it's all in one, I just want to remind people of that. And then I think the frustrations came down to the timing of the meetings. So we don't have to do committee of the whole or whichever we decide just before a main meeting. If I can just, and yeah, I think there's something to be said. When we looked at the old committee structure, you'd only have 4 or 5 people on a committee, but sometimes those committees didn't have the minority party in there because you don't have enough people to divide it up. This committee of the whole system, we only have 9 people to all have a conversation together and to have all parties and all districts represented for all committees. I think that's where I usually favored the newer system that we saw. So I just wanted to provide that context.
Yeah, I just like to rebuff that. So I agree with you at one point, but the last 4 years have been a disaster at that, and I believe that we should go back to the other system. It's just my opinion. That's what I think we should do. We have a president that would be more comfortable working that system. It just, in my opinion, like I said, I'm one of 9. I was always outnumbered. I'm still outnumbered. I played the game as a good soldier, and I think to do the right thing, 6 of us have been, or 7 of us have been here, okay, and we've seen what happened. to do the right thing, to you be transparent, we should go back to the other system.
I guess I'm just confused in what does an actual smaller committee structure, how does that actually mobilize the differences you're looking for?
Because you'd have more meetings and you'd be able to talk about stuff that you don't do now.
Why
It-
can't we just do that with committee of the whole anyway? That's where I think the disconnect always was.
4 years.
We all
And you
could,
didn't,
though.
you
didn't
didn't.
have-
That's the
We all
point.
have.
You didn't have meetings. You presented
Point of
legislation
order.
5 minutes.
Point of order, I still have the
Let's
floor.
go.
Point of order all we want, but it's not enough nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna go to Resolution 7, Urban Renewal Agency.
Lies.
So, Mark, do you, that's urban renewal. Are we keeping, obviously Bob and myself are on that, and I believe
I nominate Joe Peters to be the representative on the
Joe Beecher.
Joe Bitar or Joe Beatrice?
There you go, Joe, I told you.
You got another one already.
Nominate Dennis Urban?
Oh, you weren't gonna get off? Okay. So you'll be with me, man.
Oh, you did. You need a second?
Do we need a second?
Well, the both of you would be on there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both are on it, yes. They had to do, yeah.
Um, Resolution 8, Board of E&A.
I'd like to nominate Katie Aiello. I nominate Frank Hartwell.
I'll second Frank Kirkhope.
What is that for?
I missed that. Second.
You're on the committee.
Board of E&A, just a committee.
It's an important committee.
I'll second Katie.
Okay.
Second, sorry, no more. Second, Mark. Well, you gotta wait for it to take a vote. That's it. Works.
So we do that tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, you have to vote
Okay.
tomorrow.
Resolution 9, Board of Contract and Supply.
Mark, you're on that, right?
Yeah, but I nominate Joe Peters for that.
Why me?
I'll second.
Resolution 10, Current Rules of Order. And we've just discussed that.
I'll move that.
Okay. Resolution 11, Chair and Vice Chair of Committee of the Whole.
I'll nominate Jack Lamontro.
I nominate Sam.
Second for Jack.
Motion to adjourn?